Okay, Maeve. Pleased to see that this blog has got a lot more on it than when I last looked. Starting off, look at your welcome post. You need to explain exactly what you're going to be doing during this coursework. So talking about your prelim and your main task. Looking at your sound, the film before the film, the rule of thirds, and the mise en scène, and the 180 degree and 30-degree rule, it's pleasing to see that you've linked each post back to how it's going to be inspiring you in the future. So well done on that. You then have your preliminary task. What you do need to do is explain what the preliminary task involved. So what were you asked to do by the exam board and how did you fulfill it? I liked your screencast-o-matic here of your preliminary task. It was a nice self-evaluation where you covered what you needed to do to improve. As you move on to your main task work, I looked at your film opening credits here. You talk about the jobs and what order they appear in, but you don't say why. So what do the opening credits tell us about the film? So who is the most important person? Which jobs are perceived to be higher? Where are the actors and actresses? From the placement on the film credits, what does it tell you about these jobs and how are you going to apply this over to your work? That also needs to be thought about in combination with the images, which I know you look at a little bit further on when you looked at Saturday Night Fever and The Matrix. So again, just double check you're always linking back to your inspiration. In terms of your review of Trainspotting opening and the review of Snatch, it's a little bit vague here. I understand how it's thinking about genre, but I think you could talk a lot more about how they introduce the characters and soundtrack. I'd be tempted to do a piece on Trainspotting where you look at the introduction of characters and then, on Snatch you have a look at the sound, talking over the top of them to really explain to the exam board what it is you're looking at. Target audience, that was a little brief, but actually then supported by the information here. So I'm happy with what you've done on target audience so far. In terms of Guy Ritchie and Larry Clark, this is very difficult to read. I'd avoid doing this in the future. Just make something that we can see a little bit more your inspiration. This is getting there. I think in terms of a mark, I think you're embracing the media-rich stuff, which is good. I would like to see a little more in terms of voices and screencasts and things like that. Some of your research needs adding to, but I do get a sense of some good organisation. The blog looks good so far. You have got a few more posts to do to get fully up to speed, so please go back and look at the list on my blog and carry on blogging 4 hours a week regularly to make sure that you don't fall behind in this project. At the moment, I would say your work is around 14 out of 20. If you continue blogging it the way you are and the rate you are without making the improvements, this will probably drop to a low level 3. So you really need to be pushing this harder and thinking about making it more media rich, adding more detail, constantly linking back to inspiration and staying on top of the posts week on week. But so far, it's looking promising.